How's it going? If you don't know who I am, my name is James P. White. I go by Jimmy. I've been dealing with bullying for most of my life. Actually, talking to people about bullying for about the last 20 years. I have a huge passion for it. I was bullied when I was younger. We'll get a little bit more into that. If you don't know what Pink Shirt Day is, last Wednesday of February of every year is Pink Shirt Day. It's a day to bring awareness to bullying and to bring solidarity, to bring people together to help get rid of bullying. This year, the theme of our live stream is We're Stronger Together, because is one person against bullying does nothing, but it can do very little. But all of us together can do great things, and that's the whole purpose. We're stronger together. One one strand of spaghetti you can break easily, but if you have a whole box together, you can't break it at all unless you have a hammer. A different story. Okay, so as I said from the beginning, for those of you who are there here to view, please turn off your mics and your cameras so we can keep the stream flowing. And as well, save your questions towards the end, and there will be the best way to ask your questions is to put them in the comments in the Zoom, and then we will address those in the last half of the thing. And so let's get into this. I'm going to introduce Naomi Carmack. She is a really good friend of mine. We've been friends for, I want to say, about 11 years. She has a great podcast. It's Dope Nostalgia Podcast. If you like 90s, check out her podcast. So she has decided, has agreed to help us by running this because being the MC and one of the speakers, is kind of a pain and it throws me off. Naomi, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Pink Shirt Day. Thank you, James, for putting on this discussion today. My name is Naomi, and I host a podcast that's focused on talking to the hit makers of the 90s. It's called Dope Nostalgia Podcast, and you can get it on every streaming service as well as YouTube. Check it out anytime you'd like. I'm happy to be here today. Thank you so much for asking me to participate. I appreciate it, James. And we have two amazing guests today that are here to share in their stories for Pink Shirt Day. We have Sam here from the Zebra Center
Hi,
as
hi.
well. Hi. And we also have Kelly. Kelly Woodhouse has also joined us. Now, I just got you to unmute, I believe, Kelly. There,
There we
perfect.
go. Great. Hi,
Perfect.
everybody.
Hi, everybody. I first want to ask a quick introduction of each of you. I will start with Sam. Who are you and what do you do?
Hi. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me and thank you for having me here. So, my name is Sam. I am the community education lead here at the Zebra Child and Youth Advocacy Center. So, what that means is I talk to people in a whole bunch of different ways. I talk to kids in a whole bunch of different ways about things like personal safety, online safety, abuse, disclosure training, all that kind of stuff. So, I'll talk to kiddos or I'll talk to grown-ups and I'll talk to anyone who basically will let me come yap to them about safety with kids.
Awesome. What does the Pink Shirt Day mean to you?
Yeah, for sure. So, I was actually a teacher before this as well. So we always did Pink Shirt Day in schools, and Pink Shirt Day basically is an opportunity for people to have tough conversations, which is a big part of my job as well, is just basically having tough conversations about child abuse or about online safety or about all those kind of different things. So Pink Shirt Day is a good way to bring up those tough conversations to be like, hey, like bullying is not okay, and you hold on to it for a long time. So let's talk about it, right?
Hmm. Thank you for sharing that. And Kelly, can you also tell me who are you and what do you do?
You bet. Thank you. So first of all, I want to thank Jimmy for inviting me to be a part of this. So I got burnt when I was only 2 years old at 75% of my body. So my whole childhood was, I was the ugly Scarface girl, and so um, it devastated me knowing that because I knew my scars were never going to go away. My doctors had been trying to take my scars away I was praying to God, and God wasn't taking my scars away. So I just kind of knew that I had to have a purpose. And so I'm a speaker. I've been speaking for about 15 years now, and I go around to schools and conferences and share my story. And the other thing that I do is I coach people to write books and become best-selling authors. So I've been doing a lot of book publishing, and so yeah, and so Pink Shirt Day to me just like Sam was talking, it's that day where we just open up the floodgates, and it just allows all of us to, embrace that, yeah, we've been bullied and what can we do? And I love Jimmy's, whole mission about, we're stronger together. And to me, that's what Pink Shirt Day is all about. It's not just one person fighting the bully, it's all of us. Let's all come together and let's all be open about it. And let's all see how we can to collectively help people to not be bullied.
Thank you, Kelly. I know there's going to be a lot of difficult stories today, but I really believe that this is going to help a lot of people, especially young people today. I also want to ask the same thing of Jimmy. Jimmy, some people might not know who James is. James, who are you and what do you do?
Okay, so my name is James P. White. I have been talking to people about, or mostly kids, about bullying since I was like actually over the last 20 years. For the last 12 years, I've been working in radio in Edmonton until recently. I love talking to the kids about bullying. I've done it both in a live stream form as well as I actually have gone to schools and talked to them about it as well. I love spreading the word. I was bullied and didn't like it, and I liked to help so that people don't have to go through bullying uh, anymore. Like that's the total goal is to totally get rid of bullying. Is that an easy task? No, but as we said in the theme, we're stronger together, and that's the purpose of Pink Shirt Day to me is to bring people together and to do that and help eliminate it.
All right. Well, it's nice to meet all three members of the panel today. Thank you, Sam, Kelly, and James. Of course, James, for putting this together. We're going to start by asking some questions to Kelly Woodhouse. So I'd like to just look over the outline for a moment. We want to make sure that we get everything straight for you guys. Okay. Kelly, tell us your story of how bullying has affected you and what have you learned from your experiences?
Okay, so, getting burnt as a 2-year-old, I mean, my scars weren't going away. And so, I'll never forget grade 5. And this is what I saw. I walked past my teacher's desk and I saw this picture. It was a it was a circle with scribbles all over it, and it said Scarface. And so one of the good things was that I was half deaf, so I didn't hear a lot of the bullying. But that picture clarified to me that yes, the kids thought I was the ugly Scarface girl. And so I'll never forget, along with grade 5, in grade 6, what happened to me is I remember there was this one guy, and every time he saw me, he always said something mean to me. And I was really tired of it. I was just like, oh my gosh, like, stop bullying me. And so one day we're in school and it's recess and the bell rang. So I had to run back to, the school, and I saw the bully. And I was like, okay, maybe if I just run really, really, really fast, he won't see me. Well, he saw me and he yelled out my name. And I was like, oh, geez, okay, what's he going to say this time? And I don't remember what he said, but he said whatever it was. And what I didn't realize is that Todd was behind me. And Todd stood up for me. And Todd said, stop bullying Kelly. You've been picking on her long enough. If you're going to pick on somebody your own size, but quit bullying Kelly. And I was just so happy that I had somebody that was thinking of me and was also aware that I was being bullied, because he stood up to me for, in a way that I couldn't stand up for myself. And I think that that's the problem, is that a lot of kids can't stand up for themselves. They're shy or they're scared. And so
Mhm.
that was really good to have, Todd there standing up for me. And then I felt safe again. And the kid ended up getting kicked out of school and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
That's it's good to know you have people in your corner. And some kids don't know that there's always somebody there that will be in your corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this year's theme for Pink Shirt Day is We Are All in This Together. Can you explain who is the most influential person who helped you through tough times? Obviously, Todd was there for you. Anybody else that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, actually, I had some school guidance counselors that were really helpful. I also didn't know this, but my mom was actually checking in with the school, and she didn't know that I was being bullied, and nobody really said anything because back in, the 70s and 80s, we didn't talk about bullying. Like we were told, "Well, just suck it up," right? Like that's what my parents would say. Well, just, what, you're just feeling sorry for yourself, so just suck it up. So I didn't get a lot of support from my family. So, but I did get a lot of support from my guidance counselor, and she was very helpful. Like every grade, I had a guidance counselor who I would go and talk to, and they were so helpful, and it just made me feel safe. So
Yeah, I bet a lot of kids out there don't know that that person is there for you. That you can always see your counselor in your school or community. There's someone to reach out to.
yeah, even well, my boys were 16 at the time, and we had an incident where a girl violated my son, and so sure enough, like the teachers wasn't doing enough, but we did put him in touch with the school counselor and the principal, and then things started happening, and the counselor told me that, yeah, my son was reaching out to him, and when he wasn't feeling too good, and so that was really awesome knowing that he had a guided counselor that was willing to support him.
Mm, glad to hear that too. Now, I wanted to ask James these questions as well, telling your story of how bullying has affected you and what you've learned from your experiences. James.
As I said, I was bullied a lot when I was younger. I hated going to school. I was bullied so much. I had like from name calling to just mean things done to me. Like I was stuffed in garbage cans, locked in lockers. At one point, I was beat up to the point of being rushed to the hospital, where I was stuck in the hospital in Calgary, Alberta, went for several months, or actually several weeks, because I had to have surgery done, and it was all because people bullied me. And part of it was I didn't know how to react to it. I like a lot of it ended up being tit for tat. Like they call me a name, I call them a name, and then it just escalated to the point of things happening. But I was reacting because they were trying to get a reaction out of me, and I realized through the help of my family, especially my mom and my dad, they were big proponents of the fact I'm no different to anybody else. I may have to do things a little bit different, but I am no different than anybody. I just was short. So when I realized that, then the bullying lessened, but also when I had people in my corner. My little sister, Heather, she actually used to get bullied because she stood up for me. She would, if someone said something to me, she would say something, and then all of a sudden she'd be the target, but more people started standing up for me, and it made it harder for people to bully them because there were so many of them. And also, as Kelly said, teachers, like my principal, especially in high school, they were a huge thing in my life. Like my principal, Mr. Johnson, I went to W.R. Myers High School in Tabor. He anytime I had any problem with bullying or if he saw anything, he would deal with it right then. But not only for me, if I saw somebody else being bullied, like there was some kids with uh, issues that were being bullied, and I would go to, and deal with it. I'd either stand up to the person being the bully or talk to the principal. I had no qualms at all with talking to the principal because the school is there to help keep us safe, as well as we are stronger together. And teachers are, even our friends are a huge proponent of that about being stronger together, is because if you don't laugh at someone being bullied, if someone calls me a name, like I grew up with being called a midget, and it was a very offensive term when I was growing up, and I hated being called it. And it was something that was big. And when I stopped reacting, or people stopped laughing at it, or anything like that, then it went away. And I think I went a little bit further than I was supposed to in the outline, but yeah, it's like it was very important for me. Like I was bullied and I wasn't alone. And so many people showed me that, and that's what it means to me is yeah, like as I said, my sister was bullied because she stood up for me, but it didn't stop her from standing up for me.
Another person that's strong and in your corner. And one thing I don't understand about bullying is how people can feel any kind of good about what they're doing. Like, how on earth does it provide any satisfaction to cause another human pain, you know? And that person that you're causing pain has done nothing to deserve it. They're completely wonderful people. So people need to take that into consideration, like what makes them think that what they're doing is okay, hurting other people. I just wanted to put that out there.
Can I quickly respond to that?
Sure.
The reason is they want to laugh, is they want a reaction, either a reaction of fear from the person that that they're bullying, or a reaction of like if someone calling me a name or saying, "Hey, shorty," and everybody laughs about it, then they're getting the reaction that they want, and they actually do feel better about themselves because they are getting the reaction that they wanted. They're getting acceptance because of the laughter. If you don't laugh at it, then they have nothing. That's just been my experience in my lifetime is exactly that, is it's the reaction from other people that they're looking for.
So if those other people stop reacting, that's one of the easiest things you can do to help stop bullying.
Yes.
All right. Well, I have some questions for Sam now. Sam from Zebra Center, welcome.
Thanks.
Now, one thing that is a big issue these days is cyberbullying. This isn't something
Mhm.
that James and Kelly and I would have gone through because, you know, we were,
Didn't exist.
we
Just
might, yeah, we might be a
like
little older. Um, can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So, cyberbullying is basically the same sort of things as bullying, where it's repeated on purpose behavior that hurts another human, basically, but it's just in the cybersphere. And kids are spending an incredible amount of time online nowadays. Lots of their social interactions are online now. There's not a lot of like, oh, get your bike and meet me at this park. It's, hey, at 6 p.m. log in to Minecraft and meet me at this server, right? It's not a lot of the out behind the park anymore. And cyberbullying can either be kid to kid, right? Like two kids, two minors bullying each other, but a lot of times actually it's also adults to kids bullying kids online as well, which is a big problem. And unfortunately, a lot of times that cyberbullying can move into that illegal sphere where someone is trying to extort another person with, say, like inappropriate images or videos, and that's called sextortion. And so that's one thing that we see a lot of cases of, both between two minors. So, like, two teens, for example, are in a relationship and they break up. Someone has photos of someone else, and then they're threatening them, get back together with me unless I'm gonna send this to other places. And so, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was just that, regardless if it's two kiddos or if it's an adult and a kid, that kind of extortion is illegal and it's a call the police kind of scenario, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a 911 lights and sirens. It can also be a calling a non-emergency hotline or a kids helpline, that kind of stuff to get people involved. But I just would like people to know that even if it's between two teens, it's a quite a serious crime actually to use inappropriate pictures or videos of a kiddo to try and threaten them with anything. And usually it's not a in that two teen scenario, we're not going to take the kiddo and throw them in jail, right? But it is you need it noted, you need it noted that it's serious enough to call the police, and also lots of times interventions like mandated counseling and all that kind of stuff, and also police taking devices and making sure those things get deleted. But I also wanted to talk about cyberbullying, as in how to stand up to a cyberbully, because that's a big thing too, that when I do presentations to kiddos, we talk about online safety, obviously in more kid-friendly terms, but you talk about cyberbullying. How do you stand up to a cyberbully? And it's very similar actually to standing up to a real bully. So how many points do I have? Five? No, 4 points that we kind of normally give to kiddos is one is not joining in, which is very similar to what James was saying. Like, we're not joining in with whatever's happening, even if it's online. Two is disagreeing with the mean messages, whatever that might be, and then letting a safe adult know what's going on, and then also blocking and exiting the groups or chats. So the example I wanted to bring up actually was I was working in a junior high a couple years ago, and we unfortunately over the weekend on like a Friday afternoon had kiddos who decided to make a hate page about someone on a social media platform. And they were making fun of this poor kid, how they looked, how they talked, how they walked. They were taking pictures like without that kiddo knowing and posting it to this hate page all about this kid. And obviously it was posted on a Friday, and by the Monday we were able to deal with it at the school, but I was really proud of our kids because pretty much immediately when they started adding these other junior high kiddos to this page, those kids being added were like, whoa, like this is not okay. Like you can't do that. Like that's so mean. And then they reached out to counselors and parents and people, and they were able to get together and intervene. And then they were exiting the groups and exiting the chats and all that kind of stuff and being like, we're not doing this. Like this is not the vibe. We're not doing this. So I like that example one because it's like it works, right? It shut it down between Friday night and Monday morning. It was already being dealt with. And also I like to point out, especially for the grown-ups in the audience, that no matter how techy you are, like we are not the digital natives, right? The kids are the digital natives. They are the ones that are in it all the time to begin with, and they're always going to know before we know. So equipping kids with the abilities to say no, the strategies to help themselves and help others when something like that happens is really important so that they know how to deal with it, because they're always going to be the first person, the first line of defense, so to speak, with especially these online bullying things. So that's kind of the main thing for that. I see there's a question on here. How does someone contact the Zebra Center? I don't know if you had any questions in between that, but I can talk more specifically about the Zebra Center next.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said, I work for the Zebra Center. So, we are a child and youth advocacy center here in Edmonton. And we actually were the first child and youth advocacy center in Canada, opening in 2002. And currently, we're the largest in Canada. We have a huge catchment area. So, we actually work with kiddos who have been abused, and we help them through the court system and access resources and all that kind of stuff. We are not a reporting agency. So, if something's going on with a kid, you're still going to call the police or CFS or Kids Helpline or anything like that. And then it's referral based. So the police or CFS or like military police, we work with a whole bunch of different agencies, will bring that case to us and we'll help them. So people don't self-refer or anything like that. We're working with kids who are working with those agencies, which is actually great for this bullying theme of like we're all in this together, because at Zebra we're multidisciplinary. Like that's one of our biggest strengths is we have on site, we have Zebra staff, we have therapy dogs, we have police, we have RCMP, we have Alberta Health Services, we have like CFS, all these people that come together in one place to help kids. And so that we're all in this together is definitely a fitting theme for this year for what the Zebra Center does. And yeah, so we have resources for these kiddos who've been abused and working through the court system and stuff, but also if someone's looking for just more information or someone's looking for presentations, which I do for free, if anyone is wanting to contact me afterwards, or Zebra, we do them for free about things, any of the topics that we talked about today. We have lots of like a digital resource library, and we have different resources on our website and our YouTube channel and all those kind of things for those things for parents or kids themselves or teachers or whoever, right? We even have talked to lots of like people who are lawyers, or I mean, honestly, if a engineering firm was like, that'd be great for us to learn more about this topic, I'd be like, sounds good, sign me up, right? So unfortunately, child abuse doesn't really know any boundaries, but everyone can do their part to help out and know kind of signs to look out for and how to respond and all that kind of stuff. And again, we're all in this together. So yeah, that's for me.
What you do is incredible, and the fact that you have so many resources at hand is such an encouraging thing. Sam, a question from Robina. What is the best email to reach you at?
Fantastic. So we do have it's just info at zebracenter.ca, but make sure center is ER, like we spell it the Canadian way, not E like RE. So sorry, it is RE, not ER. Anyway, it's on our website too for that information. But Robina, I can pop it in the chat for my email too, which is just samantha.mclennan@zebracenter.ca. But any of that info at Zebra Center, it's on our website and all that kind of stuff. And worst worst, you could always call and be like, I watched a video with the weird zebra lady that was talking about education. How do I talk to her? And they'll
The
send you to
cool
me.
zebra lady. Now, before we move on to our question period, I do want to mention to people that you can start adding your questions into the chat, and we encourage you to do so. I do want to ask Sam one last thing before we do that. Can you explain the signs of when somebody needs help and what you can do to help them?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, what we talk about is kiddos who are being abused, right? Which honestly, if you break it down, it's really just a kid being like bullied horribly by usually a grown-up in their life. Couple of the biggest things that are actually applicable for both grown-ups and for kiddos is a stark change in demeanor, right? If I'm gonna just use kids because that's the example we're going with, but if someone normally is super bright and bubbly and then they're super reserved, or vice versa, right? If they're normally kind of like really chill and then all of a sudden they're taking huge risks, like that can be a huge sign that someone needs help. Also, people who are going through something hugely emotionally sometimes doesn't look after their like self-care, right? They might be dirty, they might be avoiding the washroom if it's a certain type of abuse, all that kind of stuff. So watching if a kiddo is not bathing properly or having clean clothes and all that kind of stuff. But another one is just failing grades, or they're not interested in things that they're interested in anymore and all that kind of stuff. And I really like the phrase lean in with curiosity, because a lot of times when you're with kiddos, like that's what you have to do, because you have to just lean in and be like, oh, interesting. Like my spidey senses are going off with you, kiddo. Like, tell me more. What's up? Right. And that's kind of the only way to get to know kids and figure out what's up. So I mean, when I do the disclosure training, it's about an hour long-ish, and then we go into depth of like all the like nitty gritty, but those are kind of the big guys to watch for that are often applicable to grown-ups too. We're all human.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for sharing that. And Kelly, also, thank you for sharing your incredible story.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
There's more here. We got question period coming up. Jimmy, do you want to tell everybody a little bit more about question period?
Okay, so question period is basically to ask anyone in the panel, what's anything from experiences to even simple things like what do you do for fun, or have you dealt with other people being bullied, or anything you want to ask. Actually, a common question that we are at that I'm asked is um, is, and I might as well throw it out there now is so we'll do it across the panel. We'll start with Kelly. What's was it when did bullying stop for you?
It's a very good question.
It was one that I was asked.
Yeah, I mean that's an excellent question. I think it stopped in school. Um, I I don't think that I ever really got bullied as an adult. Like I think it was just kind of adult things where you kind of get annoyed with people and stuff. But yeah, I think it stopped mostly probably in junior high is when it stopped. So yeah.
Sam, is that something that you would want to?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I unfortunately also personally have a history with bullying. I also was thrown in garbage dumpsters and lockers and stuff as a kid. And uh, as far as it stopping, I know lots of people say like, oh, when you're grown up, you grow out of it. But I found sometimes it just changes, right? I have a very like confident and creative personality, and I find sometimes people find that a little bit intimidating. And one of my best advices for kids especially when I was teaching and working with them, was just like, if you're trying your best and you are who you are, and someone's trying to dull that, like you're always good enough on your own, and never beg someone to be a part of your life if they are if it is harder to spend time with that person than it is to spend time by yourself, then it's better to be alone for a little bit and find your people later, because you will find your people. So, as far as like when did bullying stop, I'm kind of on the opposite end. I'm like, it kind of happened all through school. And then, I mean, I can think of lots of times when people got nasty or whatever in different workplaces and things, even as a grown up, especially when it's like, you're like, oh, I have this big idea, and then someone's like, not here at Zebra, they're fantastic, but like at different workplaces and things like that. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents for that.
What
Okay, I
about for
guess for me, answering the same question, I'm kind of with you, Sam. Like I'm still like not bullied per se, but you get the stares, you get the points, you get the name calling. I still sometimes have high school kids go, "Oh, look at that," and like not even look at him, it's look at that,
Mm,
and stuff like that, or people, uh, one form of bullying that some people don't realize is bullying is telling someone you can't do something, is saying, "Hey, you're too little to do that. You're not like us. You're not allowed in this group." That's a form of bullying too. Like when you are excluding someone because they're different, that's a form of bullying too. And it happens all the way through. Like you still get it every once in a while as an adult, but I've learned to love myself, and you kind of hinted at it yourself, Sam, is you get a thick skin and you go, you know what? You're wrong. Let me prove you wrong. Hey, I had someone tell me once, um, all the way through high school, hey, you're not big enough to play basketball. I worked on a little person basketball team for 4 years. I traveled Canada coast to coast talking to kids about bullying and stuff like that for 4 years. That was my job. And it was and people said, you can't do it. Telling someone you can't do something is technically almost not really a form of it's a gray area on bullying. Saying that you're not good
mhm,
enough to do something is a form of bullying, and that happens to everybody. And
mhm.
sometimes you don't look at it as bullying, but it is. And it happens as an adult, as a kid, you know, in any form.
Yeah. I will disagree just a little bit on the thick skin part. I find
Oh,
thick skin,
sorry.
I mean, no, I mean, disagreement is where we find interesting conversations, right? But like for me at least, I always got told I was going to grow a thicker skin, and it never happened. Right? I just found better people to be around, you know?
mm,
So just to any kiddos of maybe or people watching that, they're like, well, but I don't have the thick skin. Like sometimes you can, and that's awesome that you can grow a thicker skin. But if you don't, that's okay too. Sometimes you just have to find your people, and they are out there. It just might take you longer to find them, right? Like now I have a really solid, like my husband's awesome, and like my family is great, always have been. But like, you spend those lonely years as a teen or a young adult or whatever just to find your people later on. And I find, at least for me, over the years, like every 5 years, I seem to collect one really good gem of a person, and they're added to my circle, and that's really bucket filling, so to speak, right? That you don't necessarily have to do the thick skin. It's awesome if you can, but even if you don't, there's still hope.
I feel like thick skin is a one of those dated things. I feel it's something like you know, suck it up, just like the comment you made earlier. It's not a solution and it doesn't really work, you know?
Hmm.
That's so yeah. And especially with cyberbullying being like so predominant now too, where it's like people are
Yeah.
online keyboard warriors with no face, you know. You see some of the worst of cyberbullying in the comments section
Yeah.
of different posts and threads, and it's that's why I feel like some people just don't grow out of it.
Hmm. Well, and it's hard for kids to put it away too now, right? Like
Yeah.
before, like I'm not that old, but I'm old enough that social media wasn't a thing when I was in high school and stuff, luckily. And my tormentors would be at high school or whatever, and then I'd go home and I could have some separation, and I didn't have to talk to them for the weekend. But these kids have their people in their pocket all the time, and it's really hard and really horrible for your mental health to not have that separation there. And so I think hope is a
Yeah.
underrated part of it too. For like having hope for yourself that you're like, hey, it sucks right now, but it will get better,
Mhm.
is a huge help for bullying too,
Yeah.
right?
I like that you mentioned that, Sam, because I think that is the issue. Like when I grew up, I mean, it was almost like we had two separate lives. We had that life at school where we could be bullied, and then we'd go home and we would have the relief from it. Whereas now, kids are glued to their phones and they don't know how to turn it off. And they're so scared they're gonna miss something if they turn their phone off or if they don't respond, and or like my son would get text messages from these girls that would say that they wanted to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And so then my son's like, well, what do I do with that? Right. So then he's up till 2 or 3 in the morning because he's trying to help his friend who's being bullied and wants to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be very challenging for kids because they just don't know how to turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah, I often talk about that when I do presentations in junior high and high schools. That's very specific situation. It's unfortunate how common that situation is. And often I'm like, that is you need backup situation. Like if you are feeling like that, or if a friend's feeling that like that, or if someone's telling you they're feeling like that, whether or not they are is not up to you.
Yeah.
But if they're saying that to you, that is regardless of you need backup. You need a safe grown up, whoever that might be in your life, to help you with that situation. And like, even if you're grown-ups, you probably should also loop in another safe grown-up to help you in that situation. Nobody should deal with that kind of stuff all by themselves. We're all in this together.
And there's a
Exactly.
very, very valid and wonderful post here, Kogra in the chat saying, I feel for kids who do not have the life experience to understand that there is nothing wrong with them. There is something
Mm-hmm.
wrong with the bully. Sometimes that bully needs help or has problems at home, right?
Often.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
cliche for a reason.
Yeah. Often the reason that they're bullying too is because they're hurt. So they're lashing out.
Hmm.
Right. And I know with my own kid, that's something that I said. It's like, they'd say to me, well, why did they say that to me? And it's like, well, they're hurting. So, and you hurt them, they hurt you. And, I don't think anybody had any bad intentions, but it came out as being that they were bullying. And they really weren't. They were just hurting each other because that was the only way they knew how to deal with it is by hurting someone else.
Hmm.
And we are all who we're supposed to be. Like I truly believe from the bottom of my heart, I was put here for a reason. I love who I am. Would I change being a little person for anything in the world? No, because I love who I am. It's actually being a little person has given me the ability and also the passion to talk about bullying like this and help people. And being bullied, I hated it growing up, but it made me who I am, and it made me, you know, deal with all this kind of stuff. And it made me stronger because I'm still here. Kelly's still here. We've been bullied. We've been kicked when we're down. We've had so many things happen to us,
Mm-hmm.
and we are here. And it's just it it means a lot that, that like we made it through and not alone. Like I had so many people on my side, family, and actually a really good person who's been on my side since the day I met her is Naomi, sitting right here in the group. If she sees someone, bugging me or getting a little bit too, you know, mean, she'll say something either to them or go, "Hey, you don't have to put up with that." And so we are stronger together, and we it's really cool that we have that ability to be able to talk about it and get other people to do the same, help their friends to realize that they're not the problem. I wasn't bullied because of me. I was bullied because somebody had a problem with me. That's a them issue, not a me issue. And it's just one of those things.
James, I liked how you talked about like, would you change anything if, and people have asked me that question too. Like, if you could go back and change whether you got burnt as a 2-year old, if you would have asked me that question as a as a teenager, I would have said absolutely. I did not want to be a burn survivor. I did not want to have to go through what I went through in school. But if you ask me as an adult, you get a different response. And the response is, I wouldn't change being a burn survivor because I know that just like James, this is why I was put on this earth. There's no better person to teach about bullying or suicidal thoughts or any of that kind of stuff than to talk to someone like James or me because we've experienced that, right? So we know what we're going through. Whereas, anyways, I just I just honestly believe that, yeah, as an adult, I know this was my purpose. I was meant to get burnt so that I can teach people how to love themselves, even though they may have something that they think is ugly about themselves. And so I know that that's my purpose. And I didn't know that when I was a teenager. I knew that once I hit into my 40s and 50s, and I went even deeper into my passion and coaching people and speaking and doing all that. I wouldn't be able to talk about it if I hadn't experienced it. So,
Oh, I love you, Kelly. You're so inspiring.
oh,
Oh.
thank you. I love you too.
Hey, big shout out to grade 3 at Robina Baker. They have a question for Jimmy in the chat. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being bad and 10 being good, how good are you at basketball?
Okay, that's a loaded question. Okay, because when I played basketball and I played it every day when I worked with the basketball team, I'd say I was probably about a 7 or an 8. If I was to play basketball right now, probably a 1 or a 2. Like I'm 20 years older and a couple pounds heavier, but it's just, I still would do it. How good I'd be, who knows? But if someone said, "Hey, let's play basketball," I'll give it a whirl. See if I'm as good as I used to be. But
I think you should go play with the grade 3 class and see how good they are too.
That's
oh,
They'll
a
give
good
you a run for your
idea.
money.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they have the energy of a grade 3 class. I have the energy of a 50-year-old. So
You can do it, Jimmy. Uh, do you have any of you have any advice for people going through bullying currently? What they should do, what could help them in their situation?
But I think Sam's the expert in that one.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, one of my biggest things I both told my students when I was teaching and I tell kids now is, I mean, I said it once, I'll say, oh, you gotta have hope, right? Like a lot of people I find, and I'm gonna focus on like, say, junior high, high school, teen times, because it sucks being a teenager sometimes. But like people glorify like, oh my gosh, like high school is the best year of my life or whatever. Like people are like, oh, you should be so like young and having fun in high school. And I'm like, it's not the same for all kiddos, right? Some kiddos don't have that experience, but you gotta believe that it gets better, right? And I find that's always my best advice, being like, yeah, it might suck right now, but you gotta believe it'll get better because it will get better, right? Regardless of how long it takes or how that shapes up. And then one of the like I was saving this for the end, like, what's your one message for everyone to leave with? But I'm gonna say it now. Like my biggest thing is you're worth standing up for, right? You are worth you and who you are is worth standing up for, both for yourself and for other people to stand up for you, but also that bravery often feels like fear, right? Lots of times being scared and doing it anyway is the act of being brave. And obviously if something big is going on, loop in a safe grown-up, right? It doesn't matter if the safe grown-up might not be your mom or dad, it might be a grandma, a grandpa, an older cousin, a coach, a teacher, a counselor, whoever that safe grown up in your life might be, because sometimes you need backup, right? Sometimes you're like, this is a bigger problem than me just to deal with, and that's totally okay to pull in for help as a grown up and as a kiddo, right? To pull in a safe person. We love a theme here. We call it like find your zebras, right? Find your safe person because zebra center is called the zebra center because zebras are herd animals, and so they have the grown-up zebras and they'll put the young zebras in the middle when there's like a threat or like anything in the wild. And so we say we surround kids with stripes, we surround them with their zebras, those safe grown-ups. So we say find your zebras. Right?
I like that.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Love it.
Another question from Robina Baker for everyone from grade 3. Are things like talking about favorite pets or Star Wars a good way to deal with bullying?
Yeah,
So when
finding those common interests. Go ahead,
I
Kelly.
I think it's a great idea. I think, one of the things that I learned is that when I would look in the mirror, I would always see all my ugly scars. And so whatever you focus on is what you see. But then I learned how to go in the mirror and pick out, I love my big green eyes. I love my cute little nose. I love my cute little ear, right? And I was learning to embrace myself. I wasn't bragging about myself, I was embracing myself. And so what I say is if someone is bullying you, if you focus on that bully, it's only going to escalate. But if you focus on the things you love, like your friends, or a favorite movie, or a favorite game, or a favorite Star Wars, or a favorite animal, right? If you focus on the thing that you love, then more of that is going to expand. And I believe that it's an excellent way to shift your brain. So if someone is bullying you and all you're thinking about is what they said, shift your brain and say, okay, I'm not going to think about that anymore. I'm going to go focus on my favorite animal and maybe go to YouTube and watch videos about your favorite giraffe, right? Like giraffes are my favorite animal. So I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to watch stuff about giraffes, or I'm going to go on Pinterest. And what it does is it physically shifts your brain from the negative bullying thing to something that you love. So focus on what you love and you'll get more of that, and it'll physically shift your brain so you're happier.
One thing that worked for
Advice.
me, thank you, Kelly. One thing that worked for me with that is also using things like okay, for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. The grade 3 class they know because I lightsaber fought a lot of them on Friday. But the thing is though is one thing in school is one guy that was we weren't friends, but I saw he was a huge Star Wars fan. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I said, hey. I'd like to Empire Strikes Back. It's my favorite Star Wars movie. And he goes, yeah, I'd like Empire Strikes Back, but Return of the Jedi is better because of this. And we became friends. We didn't know much about each other, but that was one way that it was coming in the back door. It was something that we had in common. We're different. Like he grew up in a smaller town. He was a little bit more religious than I was at the time, and we had nothing in common, but we had Star Wars. So we became friends. Actually, that guy in particular, I've been friends with him for over 30 years. I was the best man at his wedding. His kids call me uncle. And it was all because we found something in common, even though, he's taller and I'm shorter. But we found common ground. And if you approach someone that you say, "Oh, you like zebras, but I like horses. They're kind of similar," and you can become friends just by finding something in common. And that's just my personal opinion because it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
that's
wonder if
excellent. That's
I wonder if he
excellent,
has
Sam.
as many cool lightsabers as you do. Look at that collection you got there. Hey,
No, no, he doesn't. He's married. He's not allowed to buy that many lightsabers.
fair enough. A question for everyone on the panel. Does it get easier to deal with bullying as you get older?
I think so because I had the confidence as an adult more so than as a child. As a child, I was very shy, very insecure, and so I didn't have the confidence to stand up to bully. I was shorter, so guys that were bigger than me or girls, I was like, what am I gonna do? So as I got older, I realized I had a voice and that my voice counted. And so it was easier for me to stand up to the bullying. And I'm not even sure that as an adult I had a lot of bullying. I think it was more that I had to deal a lot with rejection, which is can be kind of lumped in with bullying. Um, so I had to deal a lot with that. Like, why don't people like me, or why didn't I get that job, or why doesn't that guy want to date me? Um, and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
But yeah, it does get easier, I think.
Uh, I'll jump in. It is easier. It definitely it is easier for me to deal with bullying since becoming an adult, except for one point. There is the point. Like I have nieces and nephews that are, they don't see me as different. They've grown up and, I'm just Uncle James. I'm short, but it's just there's nothing different about me to them. And when people make fun or, point and stare and call me names in public around my nieces and nephews, they have a hard time dealing with it. And then I feel it a bit because they're hurt because people are bugging me. I just tell them, hey, they don't know. They don't see me like you do. They see me as something different. And people are going to make fun of me, and it's nothing personal to them. Like it's not meant to them, but it does hurt. And so for myself, being bullied, it doesn't bother me. But if other people see it, it does bother them. Even one of my sisters gets triggered by people bullying me, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, James, my family can relate to that too. Like my kids, or even like my best friends or my family, same thing. They grew up with me this way, so they don't know me as any different. So you're right. It bothers them more when they see people staring at me and taking second and third looks, and or they're in the elevator and they looking staring right at me, and they'll look away and then they'll stare at me again. And my friends and family, they get more upset about it than I do, and they want to protect me. Right? Me, I've tuned it out. I've learned that not to let the staring bother me, but my friends and family, they deal with it more than I do. So, yeah.
That leads into a great question towards the end of our question period here. For those listening out there, I think it's very important to know what should people do if they see someone being bullied.
Be brave.
But yeah, exactly what she said. Be brave. Say something. Like if it's at school and you see someone being bullied, say something to the kid being that is bullying, or talk to the kid that is being bullied and go, "Hey, I'm on your side. I'm with you. You don't have to deal with this alone." Or talk to like there's so many different things you can do, or talk to a teacher. Talk to a teacher, principal, guidance counselor, any of these groups, your family. Like if you are going to school with your older brother or sister, talk to them, talk to your parents, anybody. Like it's we're in and like talk to people. That's the biggest message of, we're stronger together is you are not alone. You can talk to other people and there are people on your side.
Shall we end our question period now, James?
Yes, we should. We're getting close to noon, so
Okay.
uh what's the last question?
I want to ask each of you, starting with Kelly, what is the one message you want to leave everyone with?
Great question. So when I wrote my first book, No Risk, No Rewards, I came up with a quote, and I love it, and I say it at the end of every podcast that I'm on. And the quote is this: "Dreams are meant to be found, not tucked away in dreamland." So
Oh, I love that.
That's so cool.
yeah,
Sam.
Well, I said it, but I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Just, you're worth standing up for. Both you can stand up for yourself and standing up for other people, and also that bravery often feels like fear. Lots of times being brave just means you're scared of doing something and you do it anyway, right? Not everyone who seems brave probably is feeling a little bit of the fear as well. They just find it in themselves to do it anyway. So, yeah, that and just always from the Zebra Center, if something's going on, you got to just find a safe grown up to tell if you need that help. And sometimes if the first grown-up's not brave enough to help you, you need to go and try another one and another one and another one until someone's brave enough to help you too. Because sometimes grown-ups don't have the bravery part either. You have to find someone who will listen. So yeah, those are
Mm,
my 2 cents.
thank you. James.
My last, and I've said it so many times during this presentation, is two main things, and they're quick and short. One, you're okay the way you are. No matter what anyone says or does, you are okay. You are beautiful the way you are. We all have a reason why we're here, and then two, we're not alone. You are not alone. We're stronger together. Talk to people. If you see someone being picked on, say something. Either, as I said, say it to the person being bullied, going, "Hey, you're okay the way you are." It's okay to tell people that you're cool. It's fine. Or talk to someone that can help. Like the Zebra Center, your parents, family, anyone, or even Sam mentioned it slightly, the Kids Help Phone. I've worked with them in the past. There's all these different groups that are out there to help people. You can reach out, and your teachers are a big thing too. Some of my teachers I'm still friends with, and I graduated high school 30 years ago. So it's it's very important that you know that you're not alone, that you're okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick closing here. But before close everything, I just want to ask everyone, like in the panel, I have a question for you. If someone wanted to reach you, either a website or a Facebook page or anything like that, how could people, reach out or see what you do? Let's start with Kelly. Is there what's a good way for people to find a little bit more about you?
Yeah, come to my website, kellywoodhouse.com. On my website there, you can see some of my books that I have. And yeah, so yeah, just check it out there, kellywoodhouse.com. My Facebook isn't doing very good right now because Facebook disabled my account. And so I've had to rebuild it. So I've had to start over. But yeah, so just come to my website or Amazon. You can find my books. Yeah.
Okay, Sam, let's go with you.
Yeah, for sure. So you can reach out at info@zebracenter with the RE .ca, or we are on all the socials. So LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I think we have an X account, but I'm not positive. But Instagram's the one we're the most active on. And it's same at Zebra Center, or we've got our website, so zebracenter.ca. So super easy to find.
And Naomi, Dope Nostalgia Podcast. What's the best way that people can find that?
You can go to dopenostalgia.com, or you can also search us up on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and everywhere you get your podcasts.
And you can find me on my big one is Facebook, and it's James Patrick White on Facebook. And I need to thank everyone, Kelly, Sam, Naomi. Without you, it would have just been me talking, and I'm kind of boring just by myself unless I'm, fighting with lightsabers. Uh, But uh and I've said this before, Pink Shirt Day means a lot to me, and it means a lot that the people that did join in, you all came on. Thank you all so much for taking a look at this. And the thing is we are stronger together, and this small group is just one step, and we can just keep building it every year. And this afternoon, this whole video of the stream will be up on my Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And for those who signed up, you will get a link to the YouTube when it's done. And again, I need to thank you all so much. And you know, as I said, together we're stronger. And thank you guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.